let's take a look at Bull Sluice, a Class 4 Plus rapid with a double drop that is located near the end of Section 3 of the Chattooga River, a popular kayaking, canoeing, rafting destination. And here's the name of the rocks that we will be talking about that form this horseshoe-shaped ledge drop. It's got a sharp lip and drop ledge to the right coming down river with a big hole that you can see this raft is currently nose diving into. And here's a look upriver at the rapid where you've got what's known as a single drop on the right where the kayaks can come down and avoid the double drop and the hole. So we're going to just take a look at what seems to be successful navigating this rapid in a raft and which lines and angles tend to create carnage, as they say. And this is just footage from the last couple of family rafting trips that we went on. I did not have the GoPro, unfortunately, so I don't have a lot of point of view footage, but I did try to get a couple videos of my family. And here's a really good run by my brother-in-law, my nephews, and the guide just set them up really, really well for running this section. Looks like we had decent water levels on this day. Obviously, we got caught in a storm at this point in the trip. But let's look at what they did right, and then we're going to look at a series of photos and breakdowns of what went wrong, because we did have a lot of family members that went swimming on this trip. But as you can see, the guide has a really good approach up top, and they also hit the drop pretty early on and more towards the Georgia side. And once they do that, it's pretty much clear sailing past Decapitation Rock. So he kept a really good angle as they hit the big drop, and he also had a really good line, and we're going to talk more about that further on in this video. So nobody fell out, which is, always what you're going for. But we'll see what happens when you don't drop in over that ledge at an ideal location, or your boat angle is just not at the greatest angle because the stern is usually getting pushed downriver because there's such a strong current above the ledge and lip, and we'll show more of that. So here I am kind of showing you the photo sequence of this exact same raft, and you can see how quickly they hit the drop. He doesn't let the raft get pushed way down the ledge, and then he has a really nice little bump and kiss off of Big Georgia, and that redirects the bow straight downstream, which is what you want as you hit the bottom drop and hole. And here's another raft with my family in it, and this I'm just showing you right here what the water current is doing, and that top arrow is what usually gets the raft in trouble. Here's where the ideal lines are dropping in with the raft. So I'm trying to just show what looks like the really good lines and boat angles. I call this bad lines, but it's really bad boat angle. If the boat is angled in this direction, it seems like bad things happen. And that question mark is really big hole is. And I think it's better to avoid that area. So you can see they've got a good boat angle, even though their line is a little far down the ledge. It still works out okay, because once they do hit the hole, the current's going to catch the bow and redirect the boat angle downstream for a nice clear shoot past Decap Rock and out of that upper hole. So that went pretty well. Let's look at another good run. This is actually our boat. No, this is not my boat. This is my mom. This is looking at the same raft. This this is sort of showing what happens to the actual paddlers. I mean, you can see it's chaos. My mom almost fell out. My stepsister, luckily, unintentionally body blocked her and kept her from falling out, so they were able to stay in the boat. But you're hitting that drop so hard and so fast that it's really easy for the paddlers to fall out. Here's our boat, and I'm front right, and unfortunately the bottom current and hole catches the right side of our raft and really pulls us down hard, and I almost popped out. I can't believe I didn't go swimming, but I somehow stayed in. I had myself wedged in there pretty darn good. So at this point, I can't believe I'm still in the raft. And then it's just a straight shoot through Decap. Here's another trip. We drop in a little sooner on that slide, which I think is ideal because you're not so far down. And we pretty much had a straight run, a straight line. This was about perfect. This is pretty much ideal. So that's just showing some good lines, good boat angles. Paddlers down in the crouch position. Okay, let's look what happens when it doesn't go well. And this is sort of a bad approach. And pretty much everybody gets dumped out except one person and the guide. And then the raft gets pinned between Decap Rock and Georgia Rock. So if you slow it down, you can tell that as they hit the top rapid, the entrance rapid, they've already got a pretty strong angle on the raft. And this kind of sets them up for an even worse angle because that stern is going to get caught in that upper current and gets pushed down river. And here they hit the hole dead on. So the raft basically stalls and effectively pitons and loses any downriver momentum. And with that sideways current down there in the lower hole, it just pushes everybody out of the raft. And there's just no way to fight that. Luckily, they all fall out downriver and they get pushed straight through the main current past Decap Rock down where the guides are waiting for them with ropes and safety set up. So this is just kind of showing how the nose of the raft basically stalls. And here's a good angle, and there's not that big of a difference. So I just wanted to show how little margin of error there is, where that raft angle, having a slight downriver angle, makes a huge difference. Because on the left, the nose and the raft stalls out and ends in swimmers. And the right, the bow gets pushed downriver and, basically rights the boat in the right direction. Here's what happens when you have a really bad approach. They got turned around up above the rapid. Now they're entering it backwards, which you can run rapids backwards. People do it all the time. It's better than sideways. And they had a good boat angle hitting the drop and a good entry point. But unfortunately, they didn't have the normal amount of speed and they didn't have any steering. So now they're stuck in the hole, and unfortunately they got washed over into the main hole where the upper waterfall current pushed them down on the right side, which pulled out the front right paddler. And this is our friend. She actually had one foot and leg kind of holding her in, which was probably not a good thing. It probably would have been better if she had just fallen completely out at this point, because what happened is she just ended up getting pulled by the raft, and now she gets pushed into Decap Rock. They get flushed out and they get her back to the raft, and she's okay. She was pretty shaken by it, and she did end up with a pretty sore, bruised right hip. But luckily she didn't have any serious injuries. So here's another group. Here's another raft with my family in it that went swimming. Even though their entry point, their line looked good from these pictures, they ended up not having the greatest boat angle. As you can see here, that the stern of the raft is already getting pushed downriver. And with that early entry, that early drop, there's not as much room. And so the nose is going to hit Big Georgia no matter what, but usually you just deflect off of it. And the guides and rafters expect deflecting off of Big Georgia, but in this case, they rammed up onto it so hard, plus the uneven number of paddlers and them having a left lean already. Once they got off balance, it seemed like there was just no recovery. And then they basically ran up on Georgia Rock again. And now, even though the guide is trying to shift his weight and get the raft to go back down to the right, you know, his paddlers are already falling out. And at that point, there's no way for him to keep gravity from taking over. So they end up completely flipping the raft, capsizing. Luckily, they fall out at a really good spot. They're already below the hole and past Decapitation Rock. So if you're going to go swimming, that's a good place to go. So now everyone's made it down safely. We can relax and have some fun. Some people opt to get out and stand on Georgia Rock and just watch. And if you don't feel comfortable running it, please tell your guide to let you out above the rapid and that you do not want to run it. So I made this video because I want to just show, you know, we had a 50% success rate. I'm not really sure the guides are really good about preparing people about what they're dropping into. I've run Bull Sluice in the past and I'm very familiar with it. My dad, you know, has been doing whitewater kayaking, my mom and my dad, since the 80s. So I'm very familiar with this rapid and I know the risk involved, and I just want to say it's a great trip. It's a lot of fun, but I have had 2 friends now with bad swims at Bull Sluice to the point that they probably will never run it again. So I just want people to know that, you know, the guides, they're doing the best they can. They set up safety. You know, it's very rare for fatalities, but injuries do occur. Swims do occur frequently. And if you're just nervous about it in general, you know, get out and spectate and you know, let the guide know if you don't want to run it. So I hope you've liked this video. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there. And if you like what you see, hit subscribe. Watch some of my other videos. I'll try to provide the links.